Wakefield Trinity coach David Topless is forced into several changes for this match here at Weldon Road this afternoon. Ray Price is injured, and so is skipper Andy Mason, and Chris Perry suspended for 2 matches for that trip on Boxing Day at Featherstone Rovers. So the Wakefield Trinity lineup: James Luluai comes in at fullback for Perry. In the 3 quarters, there's a welcome return for Phil Fox, and Brian Jackson, the last time we saw him, he was at standoff half. He comes into the centre for Andy Mason. So those 3 quarters: Fox, Eden, Jackson and Andy Wilson on the left wing. At half-back, we see Tracy Lazenby and Mark Conway. And up front, Keith Rain, his first full game of the season, and indeed leading the side today in the absence of Mason. Billy Conway and John Thompson, who switches from 8 to 10. In the second row, John Glancy and Andy Kelly. And Gary Price moves from second row to loose forward. On the bench for Wakefield, Tony Zeller and Nigel Bell. Castleford also have 1 or 2 changes. They're lacking their fullback Steve Larder, a rib injury, their leading try scorer with 18 under his belt already this season, and also St John Ellis, who'd scored in 6 consecutive games prior to missing the game at Bradford, which Castleford lost in midweek. The full Castleford lineup: Grant Anderson, Chris Chapman, Sean Irwin, Ian Bragger and Darren Price, Neil Roebuck and Gary French, who's captaining the cider at half-back, Dean Sampson, Graham Southernwood and Keith England the front row, Martin Ketteridge, Kevin Ward and Ronnie Gibbs the last 3, John Joyner and Tony Smith are the men on the bench. The game already underway. That first whistle coming from this afternoon's referee, Mr. John Whitelam of Hull. Wakefield in possession inside their own half of the field, and an early look at the ball there for the Wakefield skipper today, Keith Rain. John Glancy moving back into the second row this afternoon. Glancy, after some storming displays at number 10, and this of course to allow Rain to come into the front row. And the first offside decision of the afternoon is given against Castleford, who were pushing up, standing up on Wakefield, so Wakefield will have the penalty. Tracy Lazenby with his cycling shorts underneath his standard issue white Wakefield Trinity shorts, looking to protect the hamstrings. It's not too chilly an afternoon, and the pitch looks in excellent condition despite all the rain that's fallen on West Yorkshire recently. Trinity moving the ball across the line. Kelly held exactly on the halfway line by Martin Ketteridge. Conway to Rain, the 1-2, and Billy Conway battles his way over the halfway line. Lazenby, chance to get things moving. And referee John Whitelam very, very unhappy there about something that happened off the ball, and he's awarded Castleford a penalty. It looked initially as though he was speaking to Martin Ketteridge, as if he were indeed the transgressor. That's certainly not the case, because Ketteridge is taking the penalty for Cass. Picks up a modest 10 yards with the kick. Graham Southernwood will take the tap penalty. Looks very much like his half-back brother Roy. Keith England trying to force his way through, the former Great Britain man. Cass will be looking for the early points. They come to this game with successive defeats behind them, and that's a mighty challenge by Kevin Ward. Wakefield men bouncing off him. Southernwood again at acting half-back. To his half-back, beg your pardon, to Roebuck, to French, to England, and Wakefield getting in very quickly at the tackle. Gary French to Roebuck. Well, Anderson coming into the line, and his progress being halted very swiftly. So the first scrum of the afternoon, it goes down almost in the eaves of the stand here. Out on the Wakefield side. Luluai, a running chance from full-back. Hasn't started the last 2 games, Luluai, being the man on the bench on each occasion. This afternoon gets the opportunity to show his paces from the full-back position, a position he's occupied in the past on many occasions. John Glancy makes good ground. Mark Conway. Trinity opening play up. Andy Kelly to Luluai. Luluai just can't escape that first tackle. Keith England just grabbing Luluai. The break was certainly on. Conway with the left foot kick, forces Anderson across. Anderson having to turn to collect. Wakefield up very, very quickly. And Mark Conway nabs him in the first tackle, aided by his cousin, Billy Conway. Chapman's turn to have a tilt, but Wakefield's defence holding firm on the Cas 25. Ketteridge held there in a firm double tackle. Gary French cuts out Kevin Ward and gives what can be best described as a hospital pass to Roebuck. And Roebuck nabbed very quickly by Brian Jackson. Gets the ball put down and Lazenby quick to benefit from that. Wakefield now in possession inside the Cas 25. Gary Price to Mark Conway. The long ball from Mark Conway. Phil Eden did very well to take that. Sean Irwin was up on him very, very quickly. Andy Kelly this time almost breaks the first tackle, but gets up to the 25. Keith Rain, almost a local boy here in Castleford, back with his first club, Wakefield Trinity. Mark Conway looks for the gap and almost finds it and does find it. Conway shakes off the first tackle, gets the pass in, and Gary Price held under the sticks. This is good early stuff from Wakefield Trinity. The ball on the open side. Billy Conway looks for the little tip over the top. Was he fouled? No, says the referee. Ronnie Gibbs certainly went in hard. And referee John Whitelam quite prepared to let play go on. But not now. He's given Cass the penalty. And in the meantime, Andy Wilson's also taken a knock. So John Whitelam obviously not happy with something that was said to him there by the Wakefield players about the challenge from Ronnie Gibbs on Billy Conway. But in any event, play resumes with a penalty to Cass. And they're making their way up towards the halfway line. Dean Sampson almost breaks the first tackle. Gary Price does well to hold on to his ankles. Gary French, chance to open play up. Kevin Ward drops the ball. Billy Conway does well to juggle with that one and keep possession. Keith Rain doesn't get through the first tackle, but makes 10 yards nonetheless. Conway to Glancy a chance to run. Wakefield certainly made an ideal start to this game. Some points on the board would certainly put the icing on the cake at this stage. They've had the majority of possession and they've used it well. Mark Conway to Billy Conway, and another robust challenge from Ronnie Gibbs. No wonder they call him Rambo. Phil Eden juggles, but it's no knock on because the ball went back. The last tackle coming up. Lazenby will kick. Kicks high. Andy Wilson still receiving treatment. Sean Irwin does well to catch that one, and Brian Jackson does well to get up as first man. Darren Price, the youngster, the Castleford, the former Pointer Panther now, up towards the 25 and held by Brian Jackson. Dean Sampson over the 25, held in a double tackle. Wakefield's tackling very crisp early in these early stages. Graham Southernwood to Gary French, and French, that's a lovely little ball, slipped to Grant Anderson. Anderson on the burst, looks for support, finds it in the shape of Keith England. England on to Ian Bragger, and Bragger will score under the sticks. End-to-end stuff from Castleford. Well, when you look at the Castleford three-quarter lineup today, it looks a little bit on the light side, but there was nothing light about the way Grant Anderson came into the line there. Took the ball on, a lovely short pass from French. And when he looked for support, he found it in the shape initially from Keith England, and then it was Ian Bragger who had the simple task to run the ball in under the sticks and register the first points of the game, and the game just 8 minutes old, and Castleford go into a 4-0 lead. Try for Ian Bragger, right under the sticks, a flowing move from Cass, and that's exactly what they're capable of if you give them the opportunity. So Martin Ketteridge with the relatively simple opportunity to make the try worth 6 points. That try coming very much against the run of play, and Ketteridge does indeed make it 6 points. A try coming very much against the run of play, Wakefield, all the early domination, and suddenly finding themselves 6 points to 0 behind. So Mark Conway to get them back underway. Just 10 minutes gone on the clock. And that'll be a shock to the Trinity system. They've made all the early running. But Cass first on the board. Conway a long kick. And it's collected by Dean Sampson. Sampson running from his own in-goal area. And a strong run from the prop forward up towards the 25. And it looks like Andy Kelly took a knock making that tackle. Kelly holding his head but limping back into the Trinity line. Keith England. Once again the Trinity tacklers having to do their early work. And once again the break is on. This time it's Roy Southernwood. The ball's turned inside and put down. The referee says it touched a Wakefield man, so no knock on, and in fact 6 more tackles to Cass. Things not going for Wakefield in these early stages. Ketteridge held some 10-12 yards inside the Wakefield half of the field. And that's good work by Brian Jackson, stunting the pass from the Castleford man and meaning that Wakefield are back in possession. Billy Conway to Keith Rain. Rain running that first man and being held in the first tackle. Mark Conway. Andy Kelly. Lovely ball to Phil Eden. Eden, a strong runner, brushes away the first challenge. Eden got him on inside and he doesn't need him. Phil Eden going all the way. What a wonderful try from Phil Eden. Took the pass inside his own half, Eden, and made fully 60-70 yards, brushing aside the challenge of Chris Chapman, and that's exactly the kind of reply that Trinity require. A marvellous try from Phil Eden. Wonderful strength, a great swerve, and enough pace to take him all the way to the line. Fine try from Phil Eden. The kick from Mark Conway is going to be considerably more difficult than that one that was presented to Martin Ketteridge of Cass. But Conway, who's already kicked 56 goals this season, has certainly got the ability to land this one from here. That's exactly the kind of reply that Trinity needed. The long ball, and when it was taken, and taken well by Phil Eden, he brushed off the challenges, left the full-back for dead, and crossed some 10 yards in from this near touchline. So Mark Conway to try and level the scores. Whistles from the Castleford fans as Conway steadies himself. And I think he might just have pulled that one by that near post. He has indeed, but a good effort from Conway nonetheless. But it leaves the scoreline at Castleford 6, Wakefield Trinity 4. And that certainly brought the Wakefield fans to life. And they'll be remembering back to the match on November the 12th at Bellevue, which they won by 22 points to 14. And that, of course, one of the reasons why they start this game today in 5th place in the First Division. 4 points clear of Cass, who lie in 8th place. But Trinity, of course, have played the one game more. So 6 points to 4. And we've got a game on our hands now. Ketteridge to restart for Castleford. Deep into the Trinity half. Phil Fox running from his own in-goal area, having waited patiently for that ball to arrive. Certainly didn't want a chance rushing towards it and knocking on in such a vulnerable position. Billy Conway from acting half-back. Wakefield now got work to do to come away from their own line. Glancy held upright in the tackle and then bundled to the turf by 3 Castleford men. Billy Conway running again from acting half-back. Valuable man to have in your side in these kind of situations, both when you're in a defensive and an attacking position. The kick from Lazenby. It's another tester for Irwin, has him running this time away to his left. Anderson collects, comes up towards the 25. Gary Price was up very quickly and held him firmly around the ankles. But once again, Cass are in possession. Southernwood looks on the open side and finds Ketteridge, who Breaks through the first tackle from John Thompson, but not through the second. Gary French the chance to kick, and that's a good deep kick, and it looks as though it might well elude Andy Wilson on this near side, and it does. Rolls into touch on the near side. Andy Wilson, one wonders if he's recovered 100% from that early knock that he took. He's certainly treading gingerly there as he followed that ball back. Excellent kick from Gary French, the Australian, leading Castleford today in the absence of John Joyner. Joyner, by the way, had a touch of flu, missed the Wednesday game at Odsall. And indeed Andy Wilson, as I speak, making his way from the playing arena, obviously hasn't recovered from that knock, and I would think it's very likely that he will be replaced by Tony Zeller. Indeed, Zeller, the reason we're waiting, the scrum being held up, is for Zeller to make his way into play. Conway in, and the ball out on the Trinity side. Lazenby held in the first tackle by his opposite number, Neil Roebuck. So that's a blow for Trinity, losing Andy Wilson so early in the game. But Tony Zeller certainly showed on New Year's Eve that given the chance, he can run as well. John Thompson brushes off the first tackle. Battling hard to get the ball away in the tackle, Thompson, but unable to do so. Wrapped up by two Castleford players. Keith Rain does well, gets that one away to Billy Conway. And Trinity have worked their way up towards the halfway line. They're within 10 yards of that line. Mark Conway, a little kick over the top. That's a clever kick from Conway. Anderson, the bounce of the ball eluding him. And the referee are judging that he knocked on. Conway a little unlucky not to get that famous left peg of his to that ball. Had he been able to do so, then Trinity would certainly have maybe been looking at another 4 points. Mark Conway to feed the scrum. Once again it's out on the Trinity side. They've all gone with the head so far. Lazenby on the break. Phil Eden once again, and Eden once again brushes off the tackle. There's certainly a try on here for Trinity, and is he in? He's held a yard short, Phil Eden, just a yard short, and the ball stolen by Grant Anderson, and Trinity get the penalty. Well, it certainly looked as though there was another try on there for Trinity. And I think in the event, Phil Eden doing the right thing, holding on to the ball, not releasing Zeller outside him. It was all just a little bit close, Eden having to run very tight to the touchline, and Conway, wisely, kicks the ball into touch to give Trinity a running chance from something like 15 yards out. Billy Conway with the tap penalty. John Glancy on the burst. Glancy firing himself at the Castleford defenders, and they bring him to earth. But Trinity, if they can move this ball on the open side. John Thompson running through the central channel. Thompson had no chance to release that ball, and in any event didn't have the necessary support close enough. Billy Conway acting halfback. Mark Conway running from the dummy position. Andy Kelly to Mark Conway. A long ball to Phil Eden, and Phil Eden, and that's a good tackle there from Sean Irwin. Glancy another tilt. And Trinity will be looking to get another 4 points on the board here. Billy Conway back to Lazenby. Lazenby the up and under. It's a good one too. It's angled, and Anderson having to come across. The ball bouncing loose. It's still loose. And French having to book that one clear. And that was very fortunate indeed there for Castleford, because had Gary Price not lost his feet as he chased that loose ball under the sticks, we would have been looking at not just 4 points, but almost certainly 6 points, because that would have been a fairly easy conversion for Mark Conway. As it is, Ketteridge gets the opportunity to boot the ball out, and he does so, and straight into touch. Cass a little lucky to escape that attacking position there by Wakefield. Sampson held upright in the tackle. Lives up to his name, Sampson. A mighty man is he, but not breaking through the Trinity tacklers there, and neither does Keith England, but he does get the ball away to Southernwood, to French. French looks for the gap. He's an awkward little customer, this French, and very strong too for a scrum half. Southernwood the short ball to Ketteridge. Ketteridge held up short of the halfway line. Kevin Ward. Well, Ward feinted to pass, then put the ball down, and Keith Rain benefits from that one this time. That's the second time Ward surrendered possession, and his coach, Darren van der Velde, will not be right suited about that. John Thompson held in the tackle, 5 yards from the halfway line. Billy Conway running again from acting halfback, and Dean Sampson was standing too close for Conway to elude him. Andy Kelly held. Once again a Wakefield man on his knees. Keith Rain bursting over the halfway line. The last tackle coming in. Wakefield men certainly in the wars so far this afternoon. Lazenby lying deep there for the kick. And it's a good one too, and Chris Chapman having to go back to collect it. Phil Eden in front of him, and Eden just fails to grab his ankle. And the Trinity man who's injured, you can't see him, he's out of picture off the ball, is Mark Conway. And I'm pleased to be able to tell you that he's fit enough now to resume. And that's a good ball out to Sean Irwin. Irwin the ball back inside to Braga. Braga again to Chapman. And Cass once again demonstrating that they have this ability to move the ball at high speed and to break from a defensive position. And Phil Fox not allowing his man to play the ball and has conceded the penalty. And this one from 35 yards out, I would reckon Martin Kettridge will fancy kicking. A little bit of indiscipline there from Phil Fox. In truth, he was giving the rest of his teammates the opportunity to regroup after that speedy Castleford break. But referee John Whitelam was right on the spot and certainly didn't allow Fox to get away with anything, and awarded penalty to Castleford. As I say, the Trinity men already been in the wars this afternoon. Andy Wilson's already gone off the pitch. Mark Conway's had to receive treatment. And it could be one of those games where Trinity are going to get 1 or 2 knocks. Kettridge, straight, 35, 36 yards. In front of the sticks. Who want to kick this one? Chance to make it 8 points to 4. The ball high in the air, and he's pulled it hopelessly wide of the left upright. So that's a lead off for Trinity. And the scoreline stays Castleford 6, Wakefield Trinity 4. Tracy Lazenby to restart. Starts with a good left foot drop kick deep into the Castleford half, and it's collected by the youngster Darren Price, and he shrugs off the first challenge but not the second one. Keith England. Southernwood once again at acting half-back to Kettridge. Cass working the blind side. And once again the ball goes loose. At least 3 times already Cass have put the ball down and Wakefield have said thank you very much. Lazenby looking to dummy the first man, who was Kettridge. Instead finding himself grabbed round the ankles 5 yards inside the Cass half. This time referee John Whitelam penalising Martin Kettridge. Chance for Wakefield to move forward, and in fact Conway, looking for his 57th goal of the season, is going to have an attempt. This one an angled 45 yards at least, perhaps a little more with the angle. Gets a little bit of sand from the Castleford beach. Ideal position for the left-footed kicker, coming in from that right touchline. The whistle's not gone up yet from the Castleford section. Perhaps they feel he's too far out to land this one. Here they come now. And there goes the ball rolling off the sand. Referee gives his signal, 2 arms raised high in the air, for the timekeeper to stop the clock. We all wait patiently while Mark Conway replaces the ball on the sand. Signal from the referee, the clock's restarted. Conway ready. 2 points here would level the scores. That one won't reach, hasn't got the length. Ronnie Gibbs takes it. Rambo Gibbs on the burst. Took a very nasty knock in the game at Bellevue. Was wandering about all over the place and stayed on the field. So Cass back in possession. Nothing between the teams at the moment at all. Taking a long time for the Cass man to get up at that play the ball. Eventually he does, and Kettridge now the man in possession. Southernwood to French. Kevin Ward. And once again, Wardy's put the ball down. This time it's a knock-on. And Kevin Ward having one of those afternoons where he can't seem to hold the ball. It seems it's like a bar of soap to him this afternoon. It's at least 3 times that the Great Britain man has put the ball down himself. Once again, the scrum rather going with the head. Brian Jackson. First running chance he's had. Luluai almost losing his shirt in that challenge. Keith England obviously fancies the number 1 shirt. The dummy from Billy Conway. And he doesn't fool England. Play 10 yards inside the Cass half. Clancy. Very quickly thrown to the turf. Mark Conway. To Andy Kelly. Kelly held in the tackle. Couldn't get that ball away. This time it's Mark Conway held. An acting half-back. Gary French onto him very, very quickly. Last tackle. Gary Price with the kick. That one taken very well by Grant Anderson. And Anderson slips the first challenge, slips the second, and gets Braggett around the far side. Braggett to Chapman, and Cass very adept at moving away from a defensive position. And it's the youngster Darren Price now, going like a train, and well held. Well held at the second attempt. It was John Thompson who got across after Tracy Lazenby had stopped his gallop. But Cass has suddenly moved from a defensive position into an attacking one. Near Roebuck. Short ball inside, and it was put to ground. And Mark Conway does well to come across and gather that loose ball. Tony Zeller had few running chances in the game against Featherstone on New Year's Eve at Bellevue. And the way this one's going, the 3 quarters are going to get few running chances today. It's a very tight game indeed. This time it's Trinity's turn to put the ball down. Scrums have all gone to Wakefield so far. This time Cass will have the head and the ball. And it'll be Billy Conway against Graham Southernwood. Southernwood so far failed to take one against the head. Let's see what Conway can do. Well, he can't manage the job either. Gary French. French looking for the space round at the base of the scrum there and not finding it. Keith England. England bursting forward. Held in a double tackle. Keith England turned the ball back to Gary French. Cass looking a little bit out of shape at the moment. They wanted to move that ball on the open side and they weren't lined up correctly. Roebuck and Southernwood and Gibbs. Gibbs turns the ball back to Ketteridge. And Darren Price into the line. Play now just 5 yards short of the Trinity line. It's vital they hold on here. It's a clever kick through. And as the try given, no try. Keith England certainly wanted that one. The referee says that he's having none of it. And Trinity survive. And we'll start with a tap on their own 25. John Thompson. Billy Conway to Glancy. Glancy a chance to burst. Good tackle from Sampson. Aided by his fellow prop, Keith England. Keith Rain. So Trinity back in possession in their own half of the field. Conway kicking early. And it's a good kick from Conway. And that'll find touch. That's going to go all the way. Nobody's going to catch that one. And what a marvellous kick from Mark Conway. He didn't give the ball any height at all. Just pumped it through with his left peg, through the gap, and found touch 10 yards from the Castleford line. Excellent kick from Conway, and territorial at least. It pushes Wakefield Trinity back into a strong attacking position. And of course it gives Billy Conway the opportunity to take the scrum against the head, which again he fails to do. Hardly surprising nowadays. Very difficult for hookers to take one against the head. Indeed. Almost a sensation when they do. John Whitelam, unhappy with the scrum, gives Cass the penalty, and Ketteridge puts it into touch right in the main stand. Conway to Sampson. Beg your pardon, Southernwood to Sampson. Sampson over the halfway line. Southernwood again from acting halfback to Roebuck. Across the halfway line. Good tackle coming in from Gary Price. Gary French this time, the cast man held. Keith Rain the tackler. Roebuck to Braga, scorer of the first Castleford try. French, the little kick through. Well held by Conway, and not a knock-on. Much to the dismay of the Castleford crowd, who felt that he pulled that one down and knocked it forward. And Phil Eden once again demonstrating what great strength he has for a centre. Good pace too. Thompson through the first challenge. Andy Kelly this time, the man who's held, as Wakefield look to break out of their own half of the field. Conway will kick. That's a good deep kick. This one won't find touch, but it's a good one nonetheless. And Trinity moving up very quickly on Grant Anderson, who looks for support. He's only got Chapman outside him, and the Trinity tackler's wrapping him up, but not before he's made a good 25 yards. Chapman to Kettridge and gets the ball back, only to fall in a double tackle. Gary French cuts the first man out, doesn't pass the ball, holds on. Kettridge this time on the burst, looking to unload. Trinity wrap him up in the tackle. Good work from Billy Conway. Southernwood running from acting half-back. Gives young Price a run on the far side and just nabbed by Phil Fox, and Price forced into touch. Good work by Phil Fox, the ex-Lee and Leeds man. So once more we have the scrum going down. Some 10, 12 yards inside the Trinity half of the field. Tracy Lazenby. Well, there was a chance for him to come off that left foot there. He tried to do so, but Roebuck didn't buy the dummy. Gary Price. Mark Conway to Andy Kelly. John Glancy this time with a run. And Glancy battling hard to make progress, but finding himself held up just short of the halfway line. Brian Jackson, the man this time, coming to the acting half-back position, hasn't seen too much of the ball. And that one straight through the hands of Lazenby, and Luluai showing all his skill to run from a very difficult position, James Luluai. And what does the referee say here? He says it's the handover, that was the sixth tackle. I must be honest, I looked for and didn't see his signal. And in the meantime, there's a problem on the far side of the field. I'm afraid I can't identify the player who's got problems on that far side. There are far too many people around him for me to be able to do that. In fact, at this stage, I can't even tell you whether it's a Castleford or a Wakefield player. And in fact, it must be a Wakefield player. The Castleford men are all on this side. And it looks like it could well be hooker Billy Conway who's got a few problems on that far side. He's the one that I can't see in the Wakefield lineup, and Conway being helped from the field. I must say it's an incident that completely bypassed me. And Conway looks to be in some trouble. And Nigel Bell joining the fray. So David Topless having to use both his substitutes early on. And it'll be very interesting to see who moves to the hooking role. In the meantime, play resuming with the handover and Castleford in possession. Dean Sampson. We'll have to wait, of course, for the first scrum, but it could well be that John Thompson will take the hooking role. He's done that successfully before. And that'll mean a little shuffle, probably with Nigel Bell going down at loose forward. Southernwood to French. French wrapped up as he crossed the 25. Kevin Ward looks to brush off the first tackle, and he's held upright. Dangerous moments these for Trinity as Kettridge goes forward now, and Kettridge saw the gap, turned the ball back inside, and they're getting it out to Darren Price, and play is held up. Well, Ketteridge certainly saw the gap there and went for it, and the referee saw something amiss, made a signal which suggested that there was some crossing. Therefore the penalty will be for obstruction, and Trinity will have the chance to clear the lines. Lazenby will take the kick. So a sad loss for Wakefield already. Andy Wilson and Billy Conway, the men who've had to leave the field through injury, and one or two others have already taken knocks. Keith Rain. Something like 5 minutes to go to half-time. There will, of course, be a couple of minutes injury time as well, and it's vitally important that Trinity not only hold on during this period leading up to the break, but if possible get themselves back on level terms. Remember, they still trail by 6 points to 4. First touch for Nigel Bell. Runs from acting half-back. Nice to see Bell back in action. Good all-rounder, Bell. Can operate at stand-off half and at loose forward. Mark Conway steps out of the first tackle, turns the ball to Lulawai. Lulawai, the first real running chance he's had. He's got Brian Jackson in support. Can Jackson go all the way? Had to turn inside. He keeps the ball moving superbly. And this will be a try for Gary Price. And Gary Price is in. That was a lovely break. A superb try. Well, I was just saying that the hope was that Trinity could not only hold out, but get themselves some points on the board before the break. And they've done just that. And that was marvellous work. James Lulawai, his first real running chance of the half, and how well he took it, and how well Trinity kept the ball moving. Brian Jackson did sterling work. Jackson was looking for support on both sides, but most certainly on his left side. And when he found it, having held the ball up, when he found it in the shape of Gary Price, the youngster was in no mood to put that ball to either of the men outside him, who, of course, were Phil Eden and the substitute Tony Zeller. And Price saw his way free to the line and crossed himself. And Trinity in front for the first time in the game. They now lead by 8 points to 4. Conway the chance to make it 10 points to 4. Not the easiest kicking position for the left-footed kicker. Still looking for that 57th goal of the season, but Trinity almost certain now to go in to the half-time cup of tea with a lead, and that's vitally important. Mark Conway. And that's an excellent kick from Conway, and that'll do just nicely. What a marvellous kick from Mark Conway. So Trinity now opening up the gap. And that's exactly what the doctor ordered, with 2 men already off injured. So Trinity now leading by 10 points to 6. All 3 tries so far coming from long-distance breaks. With the tackling so crisp and so keen in the close encounters, that's hardly surprising. And for some reason there, Andy Kelly, while Phil Fox had the ball covered, elected to pop a right boot into the action. And that puts Trinity back on the defensive, because now they're going to have to drop out from under their own posts. Kelly obviously felt he had a better opportunity to control that ball than Fox did. And in any event, that wasn't the case. Lazenby with the drop. Ketteridge collects on the first bounce. Trinity up to meet him. Lazenby grabs him, aided by Gary Price. Roebuck slips to his knees before the challenge comes in. Keith England, first man, held in a good tackle around his ankles by Keith Rain. Gary French. And we see the little kick through instead. The pass charged down by Phil Eden. Roebuck fortunate to collect that one. Kevin Ward, a running chance. Runs straight at the Trinity defence and doesn't manage to break the tackle. Last tackle coming up. Southernwood puts the kick through, far too long. He was being far too ambitious there, and that'll suit Trinity fine, because the minute's ticking away towards the half-time interval, and they'll want to preserve their lead. Nigel Bell. Once again the physio on the field this time. It's Gary Price having to receive treatment from the magic sponge. Very physical game this has been in the first 40 minutes of play. Keith Rain bursts his way through the tackle. Dean Sampson hanging on. John Thompson now acting half-back. Luluai collecting that one round his bootlaces, and here goes Eden again. What a strong lad he is, and he's going away. Beats the full-back. Well, he beat him with the dummy, but Anderson did well to hang on to Phil Eden, and Castleford have regrouped, but Trinity still in possession. Gary Price across the line. Brian Jackson. Was that a forward pass? The ball's loose in any event, and Cass have dropped on it, so it won't matter. And Phil Eden once again demonstrating that running strength. Penalty for offside. Well, that must be the message to Trinity here. Give the ball to Phil Eden, give him a running chance anywhere from 50 or 60 yards. It's a good deep kick from Ketteridge. We're into the time added on for injury now in the first half. Referee, of course, has the right to have the clock stopped and restarted, and he's done so on several occasions already in this first half. So there's going to be something like a couple of minutes still to play, and Castle want to get themselves back on terms. Gary French. Good tackling once again from the Wakefield men on that far side. John Thompson, one of them. Dean Sampson. Sampson noticeably not running straight at the Trinity defence any longer, but looking to turn off the first tackler. Gary French. Kevin Ward. Ward on the burst, up towards the 10-yard line. Takes some holding, does Ward. But Trinity, enough weight of numbers there to ensure that he is held. And Ward being aided by Keith England. And the penalty eventually given to Cass, and that's not a good position to concede a penalty in. And one wonders if the referee might have used a bit of judgment there instead of awarding a penalty, and perhaps helped to sort the players out, because there was a pile of bodies. Keith England was certainly in there, although he wasn't the man in possession. That was Kevin Ward. And the sum total of the referee's action is to give Castleford the opportunity of reducing their 4-point deficit to only 2. It'll be a big surprise if Ketteridge doesn't land this one. Martin Ketteridge then, under the sticks. Chance to make it 8 points to 6. I beg your pardon, 8 points to 10. And that's exactly what he does. And I can't help but feel that was a slightly harsh award by the referee, coming as it did on the stroke of half-time, because effectively it brings Castleford back into the game after Trinity had fought their way back in. So an exciting first half. A couple of knocks for Trinity. 2 men off injured. They went behind by 6 points to 0 when Braga scored a breakaway try, which Ketteridge goaled. They fought back with a try from Eden. Then a marvellous try from Price, which Conway goaled to hit the front at 10-6, only to be pegged back right on the interval. So the half-time score, Castleford 8, Wakefield Trinity 10.
Mackenzie going from action now. Oh, and he's thrown Mackenzie, that's good play from him. And that's the first try of the game, to Widnes. Mackenzie caught him napping, put the kick in as he was tackled. Ball moving out to the right. Schofield. That must be a try there to Gary Lord. And it is. It's 10 yards in from touch. That's been coming a while, Leeds. Good play from Leeds. It's good play from Leeds. Schofield. Going himself, Schofield, he must be in. Yes, that's a try to Gary Schofield, just at the right time, just before half-time. Tremendous try to Gary Schofield, kidded out the Widnes defence, reminiscent of that tremendous dummy that Kevin Dick sold all the Widnes players at Wembley back in 1977. Another try to Leeds now would surely wrap this game up. Schofield bringing somebody on, and that's a try there. That's a great try to Leeds. I can't quite see who scored that, but I think it's Mark Lorry, and the players are really happy for Mark Lorry in his last game for Leeds. He's delighted. That was good play from Leeds.
So a test on the hooter, and the second half about to get underway. A quick check at the Castleford side shows me that they haven't made a substitution during the interval. And of course David Topless got very few options now with 2 injured men on the bench and his subs already on. And Mark Conway gets the half underway. Chapman taking that ball. He was certainly looking for it too. First touch for Keith England of the second half. And a good tackle by Nigel Bell. Cass kicking very early. Kicking on the second tackle. Pumping that ball deep to James Luluai, who makes a very good catch. And Luluai looking to go off the left foot. And he was held round the ankles by Southernwood. And Gibbs coming in upstairs. Running chance for Zeller. Nabbed very quickly indeed by Gibbs. Nigel Bell from acting halfback. Trinity battling their way up towards the halfway line. Conway the kick, it's charged down and it bounces back for Lazenby. What a fortuitous bounce that was. Well, he had Brian Jackson in support, Lazenby, and elected to hold on to the ball himself. Gary Price surveyed the options and once again elected to run into the tackler himself. Nigel Bell from acting halfback. Bell up towards the 25. It's very hard graft indeed here at Weldon Road this afternoon. Glancy a running chance, and Glancy held on the 25. Loose ball, and Jackson was never going to pick that one up. I think the pass perhaps originally intended for Lazenby from Mark Conway. As it is, the ball gone to ground and Cass back in possession. This time it's Sean Irwin running from a defensive position. And a good tackle from Keith Rain. Gary French with the kick. And that'll be a touch finder. Certainly once it bounced, it was always going to be. Very astute kick there from French. Teams no longer waiting until the sixth tackle is imminent before kicking. Kicking very early. Certainly Castleford are this afternoon. Scrum going down in front of that main stand and collapsing. And as I suspected, it is indeed John Thompson who's gone to the hooking role. And Nigel Bell, who's dropped into the loose forward position. Conway obliging with the penalty. Trinity to restart with the tap on the halfway line. Keith Rain. Thompson to Glancy, the short ball, and Glancy making progress. Trinity going forward in 10-yard bursts at the moment. Conway this time held as he feinted first time to pass the ball. Brian Jackson. Jackson looking to wriggle free. Keith England holds him. Luluai into the line. Phil Eden. Nigel Bell's gone to acting halfback. Conway the kick, the up and under. Another tester for Anderson. Does well, bounces out of his hand, and the challenge from Jackson, and the penalty given. And the Wakefield fans have moved up behind the sticks, and they like the award of that penalty. Chance here for Wakefield to go a further 2 points ahead. So a chance for Mark Conway. Right in front of the sticks. Not the kind of opportunity that Conway is used to missing. And one anticipates that he will in fact kick this penalty. We're some 5 minutes into the second half. And Conway with a relatively simple opportunity. Three steps forward, and over goes the ball, and Trinity extend their lead now to 12 points to 8. I think that Coach Dave Topless will be delighted with the way things have gone so far for him and for his charges. Kettridge then to get things back underway for Cass. Having a chat with referee John Whitelam from Humberside. Looks as though he's going to kick deep. He does. It's hard and low. And Andy Kelly this time showing excellent footwork to stun that ball before picking it up and making his way up towards the 25. Thompson to Glancy, the short ball, and Glancy ever willing, ever looking for work. Nigel Bell. And very firmly dumped indeed by Ronnie Gibbs. Conway to Lazenby. There might have been a hint of obstruction there. That's certainly what the crowd were asking for. Conway this time from acting half-back, and he's always looking for the break, Mark Conway. Got tremendous pace over the first 10 or 15 yards that would get him away from the would-be tacklers. Lazenby, and the kick charge down. Gibbs diving in there across Lazenby. A brave challenge by Ronnie Gibbs. He gets back to his feet, and Lazenby looks like the one who might have taken a knock. Nigel Bell then to restart. Keith Rain. Rain running from first man. His first full game of the season, Keith Rain. Nice to see him back in action. Glancy again. Glancy tumbled in the tackle this time by Southernwood. Thompson to Keith Rain. Rain was perhaps looking to unload there to his left side. In any event, electing to hold on. Lazenby. Oh, and that's a dodgy pass. And did Phil Fox do well to collect that one? Darren Price was on him very, very quickly, and Fox has taken a knock, and it's hardly surprising because he had to gather that one right by his bootlaces under challenge from Darren Price. And once again, Trinity finding themselves on the rough end of the physical treatment in the match. Physio looks rather unhappy and calling for some extra help. Looks as though Phil Fox may well be out cold. Not the ideal situation. And it'd be interesting to see what Trinity might be able to manage. Here comes the doctor joining the scene. The Castleford doctor, and the referee has called for a stretcher. And this really is a sad sight. The St John's ambulance men also joining in. And Phil Fox lying on his left side. Certainly took a knock as he went to pick up that pass. Darren Price was in on him very, very quickly indeed. 50-50 ball, no malice intended. But Fox, nevertheless, the recipient of the knockout blow. Phil Fox just back after injury. It would certainly be a sad sight to see him leaving the field on a stretcher. Well, the doctor's given an opinion. And I think that's the route that Phil Fox is certainly going to take at the moment. We're just judging how best to get him onto the stretcher. So Trinity could well find themselves down to 12 men, unless Andy Wilson is well enough to come back on, or perhaps Billy Conway. Of the two, when they went off, it looks as though Wilson might be the only man able to rejoin the fray. But I'm unable at this stage to comment on the extent of either of the injuries to the players. And poor old Fox is loaded onto the stretcher. And it's a very sad sight indeed when a player has to leave the field on a stretcher. Very sad sight. And the doctor making up the stretcher party. So Trinity now down to 12 men. No signs of either of the first half men who went off injured coming back on. The stretcher party not yet clear of the field. That's why we're waiting for play to resume. When it does, it'll be Andy Kelly in possession and Wakefield down to 12 men. Mark Conway will kick, and that's a good deep kick. And it's got Chris Chapman scuttling back to collect, and Tony Zeller went with him, and Zeller makes the tackle. So Trinity now will have to draw deep on courage and character to get them through the remaining 35 minutes or so of this game. Gary French once again kicking early and sending James Luluai across to his right hand side. Luluai judged the bounce well, and Luluai making progress. Lovely run from James Luluai, and that's brought a roar of encouragement from the Wakefield fans. They'll certainly need to get behind the boys now. John Thompson battling hard. Keith Rain over the halfway line. And Mark Conway took a nasty knock off the ball there. Mark Conway was certainly clobbered there by Darren Price. While Price was involved in the previous incident, in which at this stage one would suggest he was blameless for, he certainly wasn't blameless in that incident, clobbering Mark Conway as Conway released the ball. And the referee deciding that a stiff talking to is sufficient. And one wonders if that might have been the ideal opportunity for the referee to use the sin bin. He's given Trinity the penalty. That'll be small consolation to Mark Conway, who's still grounded. That was a nasty tackle there off the ball by Darren Price. Conway still not back on his feet, but play can restart with the physio on the field. And Conway climbing gingerly back to his feet now. And in the meantime, Lazenby gets play back underway, and that's a fine kick from Lazenby. And the Trinity fans now getting behind the side. They're up against it. They're down to 12 men, but they've still got that valuable lead by 12 points to 8. Nigel Bell battling hard and does well. Mark Conway to Gary Price. Gary Price battling hard, held 10 yards out. This would be a great opportunity now if Trinity can increase their lead. Thompson looks to step out of the tackle, but firmly held by Ketteridge. Conway looks for the options, goes on the open side, and Glancy takes the ball hard and low. Conway again. This time the kick through straight into the hands of Gary French. Cast back in possession. Still no sign that either of the injured Wakefield men from the first half able to resume to bring them back up to the full complement. Wakefield will certainly have their work cut out now. Very often a side finds inspiration when playing a man short, and Trinity will certainly be looking for that inspiration, and that's the kind of work they'll look for. Pushing Dean Sampson back in the tackle after Glancy had taken the steam out of his run. This is where they may find themselves exposed. Phil Eden's come across. Eden misses Braga, and Braga running towards the halfway line. Good strong run from the former Salford and Keighley man. Ketteridge will kick. Luluai across. The ball bounces 3 times before Luluai can finally gather. Castleford are up quickly on him, and he's held 10 yards short of his own line. Nigel Bell from acting half-back, and Bell doing the business, taking the Castleford tacklers on. This time it's Brian Jackson wriggling free of the first tackle, but not the second one. Thompson to Mark Conway. Conway steps out of the first tackle, jinks his way through. Nice little run from Conway. Valuable yards gained. The last tackle coming up. Where's Lazenby? There he is, he's dropped deep. Wanted to kick on the left foot, so that near touch line instead has to step back and put Darren Price in possession. Darren Price running and running well, but not escaping the clutches. A great tackle by Gary Price. Martin Ketteridge Andy Kelly holding him. Ketteridge looking to unload to Roebuck, who was on the run, instead holding on. Gary French across the line. Anderson into the line. A good short ball to Keith England. The ball put to ground. Will that be 6 more tackles? We'll wait to see the referee's signal. None is forthcoming, so we assume that indeed it will not be. Ronnie Gibbs over the halfway line. Gibbs kicking out a little unnecessarily in the tackle and catching Glancy, who didn't complain. And Gary French this time puts the ball down. There's been a lot of ball put down this afternoon. There's obviously a little bit of juice in the surface. It's not a bitterly cold afternoon for early January. But Cass no doubt anxious to get on with it. And French trying to pass the ball before he'd collected it. Conway to feed. When the heads all get down in the scrum, that is. Lazenby to Phil Eden. Eden a running chance across the field, and Eden couldn't escape the first tackle. Good ball from Nigel Bell to Brian Jackson. Jackson turning it back to Lulawai. Lulawai jinking this way and that. Memories of that fabulous try of his at Wembley for Hull, but there was going to be no repeat on this occasion. Trinity then having to do the tackling at the moment and doing it well. Ketteridge. Another good tackle. This time coming in from Andy Kelly. Roebuck across the line. He's got plenty of support. Anderson elects to turn the ball back, and it's gone loose, and Conway picks it up for Trinity. And the referee says there was a knock on and we'll have a scrum down. And that Wakefield will have the put in. Seems rather a surprising decision in view of the fact that Conway appeared to have possession. Ball out on the Wakefield side. Lazenby, a lovely 1-2 with Eden, and Lazenby's found the gap to Brian Jackson. Jackson running across the field, and he was looking for that support inside. Phil Eden was there, but Jackson couldn't get the ball to him. Eden from acting halfback to Lulawai. Lulawai ready to join the line to make that extra three-quarter from full-back. John Thompson. Trinity certainly in full cry now, pushing forward at every opportunity. Nigel Bell with the tilt this time. Trinity remarkably have worked their way up to within 5 yards. Mark Conway. Keith Rain running into the bulk of the Castleford tackling machine right under their own sticks. The last tackle. Will we see the drop goal? Let's look for Lazenby. Conway instead elects to kick through. That one will run dead. In fact, it has to be put dead by Anderson. And that's certainly to Trinity's advantage. And he wasn't to know. But I suspect he could probably have let that one run free. So things haven't gone right for Trinity so far this afternoon, except when you look at the scoreline. And on this occasion, they get the bounce of the ball and the break. 12 points to 8 Wakefield lead, with some 16-17 minutes into the second half. The drop out from Ketteridge. James Lulawai. He'll certainly make the halfway line, Lulawai, and he's over, and he's through the first tackle, and only desperately held in the second one. This is good play from Lulawai, using all his experience to join the three quarters to link up, to make up for that missing man. Keith Rain this time, playing a true captain's role this afternoon. Mark Conway. And Conway fancied his chances there of stepping round Dean Sampson, who promptly grabbed him round the ankles. Nigel Bell to Keith Rain. Back towards Gary Price, and Gary Price again looked for the support inside. This is the last tackle. Conway was looking for the drop goal, didn't quite fancy it. And Phil Eden will score, that's a try, and he's given it. And the referee had little opportunity there to disallow that one. And that's a great opportunist try from Phil Eden. And Trinity, a brave performance, going further in front. They're taking the game to Castleford, and Eden gets his second try of the afternoon. And a great try it was too. Lovely play from Conway. He looked first of all, remember it was the final tackle, and Mark Conway looked first of all to drop a goal. when he found himself on his right peg, changed his mind, sent the ball high in the air. Phil Eden was the first man to it, and Eden grabbed his second try of the afternoon to make the gap between the sides now 8 points. Wakefield lead 16 points to 8. Conway then with the kicking opportunity. And this would be a real bonus if Conway can land this one. And Trinity have certainly taken inspiration from the fact that they're down to 12 men. And he's done it. There was no doubt about that one. Conway kicks his third goal of the afternoon, having made the try. And Trinity stretch their lead to 10 points. Excellent work from Wakefield Trinity. They've certainly taken inspiration from the loss of Phil Fox. Down to 12 men, they showed character and courage. And they've got something like 24, 25 minutes left in this game. Kettridge to restart. And that's a bad fumble on the far side. That's just about the last thing that Tony Zeller would have wanted to do, because Cass now will have the advantage of the head on the ball, less than 10 yards out from the Wakefield line. Roebuck the running chance to Braga. Braga a very strong centre. Southernwood running from acting half-back. Held up short of the line. John Joyner now in the fray. The Castleford substitute. Roebuck cuts 2 men out. Not the best pass in the world. Gibbs did well to take that one. Castleford stay on the attack. Joyner, a first touch for him, across the line to Kevin Ward. Joyner again, Southernwood, Roebuck, and the ball's gone to ground. And there's no way that Castleford can take advantage of that. They were the offenders. They were the side that put the ball to ground. So the scrum will go down, and once again, some brave work from Trinity, and cheers from the Trinity crowd. Phil Fox has recovered, he's come back on the field, and how nice to see him back in action, looking fit and well. Phil Fox runs to take up his position on the right wing. In the meantime, although Wakefield got the heel from the scrum, it was Ronnie Gibbs round the scrum very quickly to drop on the ball for Cass. John Joyner, lovely ball from Joyner to Kettridge. Kettridge looks to unload, back to Joyner. Cass have got the overlap. Braga will almost certainly get the try, and he does. And it's undoubtedly the addition of John Joyner to the Castleford side that's making the difference. Braga gets his second try of the afternoon. Joyner certainly the architect in that move. Clever play from John Joyner. So Castleford narrowing the gap. It's now 18 points to 12, and Kettridge the kicking chance from this near side. So a very shrewd substitution by Darren van der Velde, taking off Dean Sampson and bringing on John Joyner. In fact, it wasn't Sampson who went off the field. We'll work that one out for you in just a moment. In fact, it was the other prop, Keith England, who was taken off to introduce John Joyner. Kettridge then with the kicking chance. He's landed 2 already. Steadies himself. And he's pulled it wider than near post. So Cass still got to score twice if they want to win the game. Trinity have that cushion now of 6 points. 18 points to 12 they lead. We've got something like 18, 19 minutes of the game left, but there will be an injury time, of course, to add on for that unfortunate knock to Phil Fox, who now thankfully has recovered. Mark Conway then to restart. And once again, 2 or 3 Castleford men looking for the ball. Chris Chapman was the man who collected it eventually. Determined run from Sampson, takes him over the 25. Equally determined tackling. Stops him. Kevin Ward. Almost driving John Thompson into the ground. Gary French looks for the break. Well nabbed by Lazenby. Joyner. Bragger, another run. Again, Lazenby is the tackler. Gets through a lot of work, Tracy Lazenby. One of those players who plays well when his team have got the ball and when the opposition have got it. And Cass have got it now. Once again, Joyner. This time to Roebuck, to Southernwood. And Southernwood, looking for the support, turns the ball into the grateful arms of Mark Conway. And Trinity can breathe again. Phil Eden from acting half-back. That was a good burst from Cass, and it was equally good play by Mark Conway to be in the right place to collect that pass when it came. Well, Eden didn't play the ball properly. He's taken a knock. And there are problems now for Wakefield because they've surrendered possession under their own sticks. Joyner, French, the ball, the short ball in towards Irwin, and Irwin well held by Nigel Bell. Cass moving the ball this time. Gary French, well, I was going to say on the open side, but French stepping inside one tackler, but not inside Tony Zeller. Joyner standing off at first man, the ball not getting to him, and Castleford held just a yard short of that line on the far side. This time they'll almost certainly come on the open side. Cass, Joyner feints, holds the ball up in the tackle, and Joyner eventually grounded, not releasing the ball. Gary French to Roebuck. Cass in full cry, they've got the overlap, and Price is in at the corner. Price, a cracking try in at the corner. That was a lovely long pass to Darren Price. And Wakefield Trinity look as though they've picked up another knock as well. 18 points to 16 now, as Darren Price reduces that deficit. And there's something like 15 minutes to go. So 2 tries there for Castleford in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes. And once again Wakefield have a man injured. This time he's lying off the field. I'll try and pick him up for you as soon as I can. It could well be Phil Fox again. He was the last. In fact, it's Mark Conway. I can pick his number now. And Conway, another Trinity man taking a knock. He's been in the wars this afternoon, Conway. Trinity still holding on to that lead. 18 points to 16. Cass coming back. Each side has now scored 3 tries, and there's just a goal between the teams. Kettridge, a chance to level matters. Kettridge from this near touchline. He'll be well aware of exactly what the situation is. Kettridge with the kick, and this time he's missed the right hand upright. So Wakefield can breathe again, but Castleford very definitely back in the game. And we're certainly going to have a very hot last 15 or 16 minutes or so. 18 points to 16, Wakefield hanging on. Bragger 2 and Price, the tries for Cass. Phil Eden 2 and Price for Wakefield. Darren of Castleford, Gary of Wakefield. And the difference between the sides, 3 goals to Mark Conway and just 2 to Martin Kettridge. Conway then to restart. Ronnie Gibbs catches. Gibbs coming up to the 25. Good tackling work there by Lazenby and Gary Price. Southernwood from acting half-back. The ball's put down by Sampson. The referee must give the scrum with the Wakefield put in. Yep, so that's what he's signalling at the moment. Scrum down, Wakefield put in. There was no advantage to be gained there by allowing play to go on. And if Wakefield get the heel, they will of course have 6 tackles as opposed to 5. So Mark Conway with the put in. Penalty to Wakefield. The Castleford front row not allowing the Wakefield front row to get themselves into anything like the kind of order they need to be in. A differential penalty. Conway will kick for touch. Finds it too, and that's a good touch finder. And it puts Trinity back into an attacking position. They've got to raise themselves again, those tired, aching limbs. Keith Rain at first man, and he's held 5 yards short. A try now would be a tremendous boost to Trinity. There's no way through. John Glancy, no way through for Glancy either. Cass very much aware that they've fought their way back into the game. Very tight indeed for both sides at the moment. John Thompson. Thompson turning as he was tackled, looking to unload. Held upstairs and also held downstairs. Gary Price throws the dummy. Eventually throws the pass. Conway. And that's a good ball. And Trinity have got a chance here with substitute Tony Zeller, and held 5 yards short of the line. Mark Conway looks to battle his way in. Kicks through. The ball's back in the Castleford hands. And Wakefield's opportunity is gone. But they've got Cass pinned back inside their own 25. And that's good tackling work. Trinity showing a lot of spirit here this afternoon. They want to repeat that victory that they recorded at Bellevue. On that occasion it was 22 points to 14. It's very close here this afternoon, indeed closer than that. 18-16 Trinity lead. Kevin Ward battling his way out of his own 25. Gary French. Chancy ball, but he finds Darren Price, and Price running down this near side. Price steps inside the first tackle, but not the second one. Price plays the ball to himself, held by Brian Jackson, gets the ball away to Grant Anderson. Anderson flicks the ball up, Mark Conway the running chance, and Conway can't escape the clutches of Neil Roebuck. And Conway, his feet and ankles over the touchline, so it'll be a scrum down, and Cass will have the put in. A rip-roaring finish to this game. We're moving now on the clock at least towards the last 10 or 11 minutes of the game. There will certainly be some injury time. All the scrums gone with the head so far, and this one does likewise. Braga to Anderson, and Anderson held by Luluai. Luluai, good positional play, and able to assist in that tackle. Braga again running, this time from the acting half-back position up towards the halfway line. Ketteridge. Powerful second row forward, Martin Ketteridge. And met by powerful Trinity resistance. John Joyner. Obviously well recovered from his bout of flu. And Southernwood, well, all Southernwood did was roll the ball free then as he fell in the tackle. And not surprising, the referee decides that because Trinity have picked the ball up, it'll be their advantage. John Thompson. Nigel Bell's gone to acting halfback. He'll run from that position. Through the first tackle, Bell. And makes good ground for Trinity. Coming on as the substitute, he's the fresher man. He's taking a lot of the workload off his teammates, Nigel Bell. Took a knock in the tackle, though. John Glancy. Glancy bursting through the first tackle. That was a forward pass. The referee was right on the spot. And Glancy a little unfortunate there, trying to get his second row partner, Andy Kelly, in a run for the line. And releasing the ball and having to pass it forward, passing it one-handed. Trinity one short in the scrum because Nigel Bell's taken a knock. And the ball out on the Cass side. John Joyner to Gary French. French the running chance. Chance to open up the play. The ball turned inside. And once again the Trinity tackling is equal. This is good work from Wakefield. They've played exceptionally well today when Cass have had the ball, and have only been exposed when Cass have had the spare man on a couple of occasions on the overlap in this second half. Gary French. Joyner to Roebuck. Chancy pass from Roebuck, but Ketteridge took it, found the gap, and Braga. Is Braga going to get a hat-trick of tries? No, he isn't, because it's a forward pass. And we're going to have to come all the way back. The pass was forward from Ketteridge to Braga, and the referee says we're going to have a scrum down. Cass looking as though they were going to get Braga in for a hat-trick of tries and put them in the lead. And they haven't had the lead since the 36th minute of the match. And the referee calling. Who's he calling for? In fact, Cass making a substitution. Kevin Ward going off the field. And the other Castleford substitute is Tony Smith. I can't see him getting himself ready, Smith. In the meantime, Nigel Bell has resumed after treatment, and in fact it's Keith England coming back on the field, replacing Kevin Ward. He'll probably slot straight into the front row, indeed he does, at blindside prop. Trinity get the heel. Luluwai into the line. Brian Jackson a running chance. He's held very quickly there by Sean Irwin. Tony Zeller. His strength and pace will be needed in the closing stages of this game. Nigel Bell. 3 or 4 minutes left on the clock, but as I say, there is some injury time. John Thompson. Thompson still going. And Thompson still going. Good work from John Thompson. Held up just short of the halfway line. Gary Price, chance to kick, and he does so. He was off balance when he kicked that ball. Nevertheless, it's a wicked bounce for Anderson, who eventually collects, but can't escape the clutches of the Wakefield tacklers. Good work again from Trinity. Gary French to his half-back partner Roebuck, to Darren Price. Darren Price, a very solid runner. Well, he made most of his ground across the field, Price, but he puts Cass in a good attacking position. And Keith England, after a little rest, back on the field, and looking as fresh as a daisy. John Joyner. And that's a good pass from Joyner to Irwin. Well, I suspect that ball has gone to ground and changed hands on the far side. And the referee confirms that by coming out on the Castleford side, so Wakefield back in possession. Conway to Rain. Keith Rain played a real captain's role today. Mark Conway again. Conway this time electing to hold on. 1 or 2 tired legs, I think, in the Trinity ranks now. James Luluwai to Lazenby. Lazenby eludes the first tackle, ducked out of it in fact, but well grabbed by Roebuck. Last tackle coming up. This time Conway will be the kicker, and he kicks right-footed, and he puts the ball straight into touch, so we'll go back to where he kicked from, and we'll have a scrum, and this time Castleford will have the put in. I beg your pardon, it's the handover, because of course that kick coming on the final tackle, so the referee quite rightly restarting the game with Castleford possession. John Joyner. Joyner looking to turn this way and that, and eventually buried in a 3-man tackle. Trinity still got their noses in front, remember, despite the fact that there's a lot of noise coming from the Castleford section of the crowd. Wakefield still leading 18 points to 16. Price and Joyner work the 1-2. Price head down, slips the tackle of Keith Rain, but well held by Andy Kelly. Cass looking to step up the pressure in the closing stages of this game. Neil Roebuck to Gary French, and that's a knock-on by Dean Sampson. I don't think the pass was actually intended for Sampson. French looking to throw that more into space than actually to a Castleford player, and it's all eating up vital moments in this game. We're heading towards injury time. A couple of minutes left on the clock, no more than that. And that's good work by Mark Conway, dropping on that loose ball from the scrum. Tracy Lazenby. Vitally important that Trinity don't put the ball down now. They've certainly got to hold on to it inside their own half of the field. Nigel Bell. And Nigel Bell's broken clear. A great run from Nigel Bell. He can't shake off the attentions of Anderson. He tried to sidestep. Anderson didn't buy it. But what a good break from Nigel Bell, and vitally important too. Mark Conway. And Conway just losing his feet, but retaining possession. 18 points to 16 Trinity lead. What a cracking game this has been between these two rivals. Gary Price had a good game at loose forward, the youngster. Up against a very experienced man in his opposite number, Ronnie Gibbs, and he's lost nothing by comparison. Keith Rain. And Trinity prepared to hold on now and concede possession rather than kick. And that'll be the handover. There haven't been too many in this game. Keith England retrieving that ball very quickly, and Southernwood running from the acting half-back position. Darren Price this time, he's always looking for work, this winger. And he found a little bit more than he bargained for there, because he was dumped by Nigel Bell. And his only real progress came in a lateral direction. I think the Wakefield fans now will be asking for the hooter. I think they're going to have to wait a little while. Gary French, and he's broken clear. French is cleared, he's got support inside. Keith England. England's got Ketteridge clear of him. He found it's a loose ball. It was a forward pass, I suspect. But the referee says we'll play on. And Wakefield very grateful for that loose ball there from Keith England. Perhaps delayed a shade too long, England, in releasing the ball to Ketteridge. It was forward. Ketteridge couldn't take it, and Luluai's put the ball down. And that's just what Wakefield didn't want inside their own 25. Gary French now. A running chance for Cass. 10 yards out, Castleford. Wakefield have got their work to do now. Which way will Cass go? They go on the blind side. The ball out towards the winger, Chapman, and he steps inside two men, and Chapman is held up just short of the line. This is good tackling work by Wakefield Trinity. 2 points the difference between the sides. They must hold on now. Gary French dummies back inside and runs straight into two tacklers. And Wakefield, this is where the courage and the character will show. John Joyner, he's the man who can make the difference. Joyner holding on to Roebuck. Roebuck to Ketteridge. Ketteridge held by Phil Fox, who's come right infield, Phil Fox. The last tackle coming up. What will Cass do? Will they elect to keep the ball running? And they do. And that's a good ball from Joyner to Anderson, and that's the handover, because that's equally good tackling work by Tracy Lazenby, and I think Lazenby has taken a knock as well. And the Trinity men certainly in the wars this afternoon. Time without number, we've seen Trinity men injured, either when making a tackle or when being tackled. Gary Price running from acting half-back. These have got to be the tactics for Trinity in these closing stages as they hang on to this 2-point lead. They must retain possession, that's vitally important. John Thompson, he's a man who knows all about it, and Thompson over the 25. We're well into injury time now. Mark Conway to Nigel Bell. Bell, can he break the tackle? No, he can't this time. Well, he does. He certainly pulled away from Martin Ketteridge, but not from Dean Sampson, and Bell climbing to his feet rather painfully this time. John Glancy, just the man to have in your side in this kind of a situation. And Trinity holding on, keeping possession. This is the last tackle. What will Conway do? Room to kick, and he does. Doesn't find touch. Only instead finds Chris Chapman. Chapman the running chance on the far touchline. Held in the first tackle. And that's the hooter. And Trinity can give themselves a very big pat on the back for this victory here this afternoon. What a brave victory it's been. At one stage they were down to 12 men. The physio has been almost the hardest worked man on either side. The Wakefield physio, he's been on the field time without number. They were down to 12 men. They had both substitutes on very early on in the game, and they've held on for a famous victory. 2 tries for Phil Eden and 3 goals from Mark Conway, and in reply Castleford 2 tries from Ian Bragger, 1 from Darren Price and 2 goals from Martin Ketteridge. So a famous victory for Wakefield Trinity. It'll do their top 8 chances a world of good. It means they've won 7 out of their last 8 games, and it sends Cass to their 3rd successive defeat. So well done to Wakefield Trinity, an excellent victory for them. They've won the game by 18 points to 16.
Keith, you've certainly picked a real cracker to come back for your first game of the season.
Yeah, it's always hard against Cass. I am a Cass lad, and it always means that little bit more to me. But very physical today. This is my first full game, but most all lads were saying it's the hardest match they've played this season.
The physio seemed to be the hardest workman on the field.
Yeah, it looked like we were going to lose Mark Conway as well in second half. That took us down to 11 men that fortunately stayed on, and Phil Fox come on later on.
How did you feel the game was going? Because you were taking the game to Cass in the early stages, and then they scored a breakaway try.
Yeah, they had us on that for ages, and then Phil Eden scored a try. got us back. Then we seemed to be under a lot of pressure again, and then Price went in and scored. And then second half we seemed to be under a tremendous amount of pressure, and we had an high ball that we caught and scored. Then after that it just seemed to go all our way, and Joyner come on and started to put some wide passes out, and we would just start to watch him. He put us under a bit of pressure, but we held out.
How difficult is it for the subs when they come on? You're warmed to the game, they come on fresh. How difficult is it for them to fit in?
It depends if you're winning or losing. If it's a game like it is and there's only a couple of points in it and the balance, while you're on the bench and you're waiting to come on, you're building up tension and you're mentally a bit exhausted before you come on, and you're trying to pick up. It's like starting a 100-metre race halfway through. You've no chance of catching up. You're trying to keep with them all the time. It's very, very difficult.
Was there a particular turning point in this game that you felt we're going to win this one now?
Yeah, when buzzer went. No, we went to 18-8, and then all of a sudden they just seemed to pick it up a gear, and they knew it were like they had to throw everything at us, and they come off. They got 2 tries. Then we were hanging on. Braga went in for a try, and the referee blew up for a forward pass, but they had numerous occasions to score tries, and they were just thwarted by a knock-on or a forward pass or a ball that went to ground. We worked hard, we worked very hard, but we might have been a bit fortunate at times, but that's the way the thing goes.
If I can just briefly mention one man who I felt showed all his experience when you were down to 12 men, that was James Luluai, the way he joined the line. Yeah,
well, he's a class player. He's probably ain't got the legs that he used to have, and he knows that, but come to experience, there were time in that game when he had to do a little bit, and he come into the line, like you said, extremely well. He made quite a lot of ground for us, more than forwards were making. Just went away from acting half-back, and he did very well for us.
I think before the season started you would have settled for top 8. You're looking now at top 4.
Yeah, I thought it would have been harder this season than last season. I don't think they got the players that they wanted, maybe, but he's a very shrewd coach. He's David Topless, Jackson and Price, Ray Price, and all the lads that we've got here that were here last year, they're better players. You know, we're playing that extra season in First Division, and they've stayed up first time. They've always been known as a yo-yo team for, 5-6 seasons, but they've stayed up, they've got confidence, and it's worked out better than I thought it would do. I thought we'd stay up, but I thought it'd be very hard, but like I say, we look like we could make top 8 now, or even top 4.
David, not just a great win for Wakefield Trinity, but a great advert for the game, the way it was played.
That's right, we really stuck to his guns, and, you know, it's probably my best result as a coach, really.
You fell behind early on, and then Phil Eden got you back in with a marvellous try.
Oh, he's playing tremendous, Phil. He was going through a really bad patch, and I dropped him to the A team, and I said, look, Phil, just get your confidence back. He scored 4 tries in the A team, answered me there. Put him first team substitute the day after, got a try then, and he scored 2 tries against Featherstone New Year's Eve, and he got 1 today and could have had 2 today.
It's his strength as well as his pace, isn't it?
That's right, he's a big lad. If Phil takes the ball on the move, he takes some stopping, and they couldn't handle him today at Castleford.
I thought it was a bit unfortunate, the penalty award against you just before half-time. You looked like going with a 4-point lead, and there was a melee, and the referee decided that it was the Wakefield players who were offending. Yeah,
that's right. It's on the referee's discretion, really, he's holding down. I mean, Castleford got away with holding down a lot today. We probably did. It's just whether the referee sees it is held down too long. Nigel Bell got his arm stuck underneath him, but I don't think he made any effort to come out, and that would have had 2 points just before half-time. That we stuck to his guns well.
You played some of your best rugby when you were down to 12 men.
That's right. I think as soon as the lads saw Phil Fox stretch it off, they must all have said, right, we've got to give that 10% extra now, and we really took the game to them then, and that was, I thought, well, 18-8, we're going to get more with 12 men, but you know, they come back on, John Joyner come back on, he settled them down a bit and throwing a few passes about, and they got 2 tries where it was an heart attack job the last 5 minutes.
But they showed lots of character and courage.
Lots of character. I'm proud of every one of the lads.